the cradle of mankind, the cradle of human civilization, the cradle of modern society, the birthplace of democracy, the cradle of Western philosophy. There are many cradles of stuff, but how about the cradle of aliens? How do we know it was slaves and not some kind of advanced technology? Well, we don't know. But given the amount of resources needed to build these massive structures, we can assume that building them would have taken an extraordinarily long time and required lots of manpower. And thus, slavery must have been involved. Their purpose is unknown, but the precision with which they were dug is once again astounding. All these points towards a highly advanced civilization having constructed the pyramids, right? Well, possibly, but there is another possible explanation. According to Graham Hancock, a British author who has written extensively on ancient civilizations, the pyramids were not built by slaves at all. The so-called alien head statue could just be a stylized depiction of the pharaoh. Meanwhile, the red chapel could just be depicting a battle between Ra and an evil spirit. As for the other artifacts, they could be interpreted as representations of aliens, but there is no way to be sure. Well, according to Hancock, the Egyptians believed that the gods came from the sky. This fits well with modern UFO lore, which suggests that aliens often visit Earth from distant planets. Whether or not those extraterrestrials were benevolent or malevolent is up for debate. What is not up for debate is that the ancient Egyptians were a highly advanced civilization that accomplished many things that we can only dream of today. Their pyramids are a testament to their skill and ingenuity, and their artwork is a window into a world that we can barely imagine. However, this is just a theory, and there is no concrete evidence to support it, but rather by a highly advanced civilization that existed in Africa before the Egyptians. Many of the theories surrounding aliens and ancient Egypt are therefore pseudoarchaeological in nature. Pseudoarchaeology is the use of archaeological evidence to support a preconceived theory. This is not how real archaeology works. Archaeologists should let the evidence speak for itself and not try to force it to fit a particular narrative. For example, both cultures seem to have a fascination with the number 3. The Egyptians built their pyramids in groups of 3 and often depicted their gods in 3s. Meanwhile, modern UFOs are often said to come in groups of 3, and alien abductees often report being taken to a UFO that resembles a triangle. There are also similarities between the Egyptian Book of the Dead and modern UFO lore. Both cultures seem to believe in an afterlife that can be accessed through a tunnel or portal. And both cultures seem to believe that there are beings that can help or hinder the transition to the afterlife. According to Hancock, this civilization was located near Lake Victoria and was technologically far more advanced than the Egyptians. After all, we know very little about either culture, and anything could be true. They had mastered the use of metal tools and weapons and had developed a system of writing. Unfortunately, this civilization was wiped out by a cataclysmic flood, which then caused their advanced knowledge to be lost. The Egyptians who came after them were unable to build pyramids as tall or as precise as the ones before them. However, they did have access to the same advanced technology which they used to construct their own pyramids. Are there such a thing? Were the ancient Egyptians in contact with them? Now, that might sound like a crazy theory. Secondly, even if such a civilization had existed, it's unlikely that they would have shared their advanced technology with the Egyptians. Finally, the Egyptians would not have been able to maintain the level of precision in their pyramids without having some kind of advanced equipment. But even the official narrative agrees that ancient Egyptians were in contact with extraterrestrials. Let's delve into this further. This is a limestone statue that was found buried deep inside the Great Pyramid. It has a distinctly humanoid shape, with large almond-shaped eyes and a small mouth. Some believe that it depicts an alien visitor, while others say it's just a stylized representation of the pharaoh Kafir. But what about the red chapel found in the second chamber of the Great Pyramid? According to Egyptian mythology, when Ra, the sun god, was sailing his boat across the sky, he was attacked by an evil spirit that took the form of a baboon. The red chapel depicts this battle between good and evil, with Ra on one side and the baboon god on the other. What does that have to do with aliens? Well, there are several depictions of similar creatures in Egyptian art. They are usually shown with large heads and bodies covered in scales. Some have wings and others don't. These creatures are typically shown as being either malevolent or neutral. So, what could they possibly represent? Well, according to Hancock, they are actually depictions of actual extraterrestrial visitors. He believes that these beings visited Earth thousands of years ago, and that the Egyptians knew this. In fact, he believes that many of the Egyptian gods were actually based on these extraterrestrial visitors. For example, the winged sun disk could represent an alien flying craft. Meanwhile, the baboon god could be Anubis, the god of the dead, who was often depicted with a human head and a baboon body. This fits well with the Egyptian belief that the soul could travel to the afterlife via a baboon-shaped gateway. We're all familiar with the pyramids of Giza. It is widely agreed upon by most people that they were made by slaves. But what if we were wrong? What if the pyramids weren't built by slaves at all, but rather by highly advanced alien visitors? One piece of evidence that is often cited in favor of the alien theory is the sheer precision of the Great Pyramid of Giza. This is the oldest of the three pyramids at Giza and also the largest. Despite being constructed around 2580 BC, it remains the tallest man-made structure in the world for over 3,000 years. It is also the only remaining member of the Seven Wonders of the Ancient World Club. This pyramid has stood the test of time, literally. It's no surprise then that people think it may have had some alien help in its construction. But aside from the precision of the structure itself, what is it about the pyramid that suggests alien intervention? Well, first off, the stones. You see, the average weight of the stones used in the construction of the pyramid is 2.5 tons each. That's an incredibly heavy block of stone to move around. And yet, each one of them is so perfectly fitted together that you can barely fit a sheet of paper between the seams. Secondly, the pyramid is aligned almost exactly with the true north. In fact, it's within 3 minutes of perfect alignment. Now, keeping in mind that the tools available to the Egyptians 4,000 years ago would be extremely primitive by today's standards, that is an incredible feat of engineering. And finally, we have the air shafts. These are tunnels dug out of the bedrock beneath the pyramid and directed towards the North Star. There are some problems with this theory, however. For one, there is no archaeological evidence of a technologically advanced civilization near Lake Victoria. What if the pyramids aren't proof of alien intervention, but the artifacts found inside of them are? Take the so-called alien head statue, for example. Hancock's theory is certainly interesting, but it's important to keep in mind that there is no concrete evidence to support it. However, there are some intriguing parallels between ancient Egyptian culture and modern UFO lore. These similarities are purely coincidental, of course, but they do make us wonder if there really is a connection between ancient Egyptians and aliens. What about the aliens themselves? Do we have any idea who they could be or where they came from? It's important to keep in mind that much of what we know about ancient Egypt comes from the 19th century, when it was popular to sensationalize such discoveries. With that said, there is no doubt that ancient Egyptians were in contact with extraterrestrials. If you enjoyed this video, then please leave a like and subscribe.